For 300,000 years, the galactic species logged Earth as silent, abandoned, extinct. No transmissions, no probes, no messengers. Then one day, mid-conference, mid-snack, mid-nap, the sky over Velmora Prime cracked open, and something walked out with a smile. For 300,000 years, Earth was quiet. No transmissions, no ships, no anomalies. The galactic database labeled it abandoned, possibly extinct. Then one ordinary afternoon, the skies over Velmora Prime split open like glass under pressure, and something came through with a smile and an old-fashioned leather briefcase. The grand hall of the Galactic Concord shimmered with floating translation spores and the faint buzz of overworked climate regulators. Velmora Prime's sun cast soft light through the translucent spires above, bathing the room in gold. Around a horseshoe of levitating seats hovered some of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Ambassador Chervak of the Krell Dominion adjusted his polished scales, his frill twitching in boredom. "Motion to reclassify Sector 88 to uninhabited relic zone," he hissed, tapping a claw on his datapad. "Earth has remained dormant for 3 galactic eras. Nothing but fossils and silence." Archivist Sula, a translucent, many-limbed creature suspended in a nutrient mist, floated forward. "There is value in stillness," Sula murmured, voice gentle but firm. "Silence does not equal absence. Beasts sleep. Stars flicker. Perhaps Earth." Her words were cut off by the shrill screech of the planetary defense grid going into full override. Every holo display blinked red. The spires dimmed. The grand hall trembled slightly. From orbit, a single vessel hung in the atmosphere, sleek, black, without visible propulsion. No registry, no known configuration, and not responding to hails. Envoy Brillex, feathers fluffed in panic, clutched the edge of his translator pod. It's from Earth. That signal, it matches ancient Terran harmonics." The room went quiet. Then, without warning, a column of brilliant white light pierced the center of the chamber. When it faded, a single figure stood calmly in the middle of the hall. Human. Mid-40s. Impeccably dressed. Gray eyes. Relaxed posture. Holding a steaming cup of what appeared to be coffee. He smiled. "Good morning," the man said cheerfully, his voice smooth as polished steel. "Sorry to drop in unannounced. The traffic over Rigel was murder." Security drones swarmed, weapons trained, but the man didn't flinch. "I'm Commander Elias Rain," he continued, adjusting the cuff of his black jacket. "Representative of Earth. Or, as your system seems to call it, Sector 88, uninhabited relic zone." He sipped from his cup. "That's a bit rude, by the way." Chervak leaned forward. "You cannot simply appear inside the High Concord uninvited. This is a breach of—" Yes, protocol," Elias interrupted, nodding politely. "It's very cute that you think this chamber is secure." Sula floated down gently. Are you truly from Earth? We believed your species long extinct." "Oh, we're very much alive," Elias said, tone light but measured. "Just quiet. Observing. Listening." Brillex made a strangled chirp. "For 300,000 years." Elias tilted his head. "We had time. We figured you might be more interesting if you thought we were gone." He walked slowly around the chamber, studying each alien face with mild curiosity, like a teacher surveying a new class. "You've come a long way. Faster than light travel. Central AI management. Shared economics. Interstellar bureaucracy." He gestured around. "It's almost impressive." Chervak's frills flared. "You claim authority from a species long considered feral. Primitive. Barely beyond combustion engines." Elias stopped walking. He looked directly at the Krell ambassador and smiled wider, just a few degrees too wide. "We invented sarcasm, Ambassador," he said softly. "And long-range annihilation platforms. Never underestimate a species that managed to land on its own moon just to prove a point." The room went very still. Sula's voice broke the silence. "Why now? Why return?" "We're not returning," Elias said, voice calm. "We never left. We just stopped talking." He pulled out a small black device and placed it gently on the council floor. It lit up in soft blue pulses. "A gift," Elias said. It's not a weapon. It's a mirror. It shows you how many systems Earth already has eyes in. The lights in the chamber dimmed. A 3D star map unfolded above the table. Dozens, no, hundreds, of star systems lit up in red. Observation nodes. Shadow fleets. Hidden relays. They were everywhere. Impossible, Brillex whispered. Elias took another sip of coffee. You stopped looking. We didn't. Chervak snarled. This is a threat. Not at all, Elias said warmly. If we wanted to threaten you, you'd already know. This is a check-in. He turned toward the exit as the lights flickered back on. Anyway, I'd love a tour of your central AI core. I'm told it's quaint. Sula floated in his path. What is your purpose here, Commander? Elias paused. Then, softly, to see if the galaxy is ready. For what? She asked. He smiled again. Graduation. With that, he walked through the grand hall doors as if he'd always belonged there. No one stopped him. No one moved. The chamber remained silent long after he'd gone. And far above the capital, the black vessel turned, shimmered, and vanished without a trace. Commander Elias Rain stood in the observation dome of Elmora Prime Central AI Hub, surrounded by 37 different species, each pretending not to be nervous. He didn't comment on the armed escorts. He didn't ask why the tour required a planetary lockdown. He simply admired the view. Beautiful, Elias said, hands clasped behind his back. The curvature of this planet, very similar to Earth. Though, I suppose we've been watching it longer than you have. Ambassador Chervak grunted beside him, his frills pressed flat in controlled irritation. This is the nexus of our collective intelligence network. You will not touch anything. I wouldn't dream of it, Elias replied, smiling. Not without consent. Sula drifted behind them, eyes glowing a little brighter. She hadn't spoken since the hall. She was still processing. Calculating. Watching Elias the way a zoologist watches a predator behind glass, and trying to remember if the glass was rated for teeth. Commander, she said at last, you've claimed that humanity remained hidden for strategic observation. That's difficult to believe. Understandable, Elias said, walking slowly past a massive AI core pulsing with blue light. Belief requires a frame of reference. And most of you have only ever seen humans through ruins and old radio static. He paused beside a console. Tell me, this AI here, does it process war simulations? Brillex, feathers damp from nerves, nodded from the rear. Why yes. Defensive modeling. Scenario trees. Conflict resolution planning. Excellent, Elias said. Run a hypothetical for me. Chervak hissed. You do not command simulations. Oh, I'm just making a request. Elias turned to a technician. If your machine's truly built for diplomacy, it'll indulge a friendly visitor. The technician, unsure whether to obey or faint, activated the console. Elias leaned closer. Input the following scenario. An unarmed Earth vessel enters Velmora space. Minimal comms. No shields. Then simulate immediate strike response by all planetary defenses. The room stiffened. Brillex looked like he might molt on the spot. Why would we model that? To demonstrate the outcome, Elias said calmly. No weapons. No aggression. Just curiosity. The simulation ran for 12 seconds. And failed. Elias blinked. Try again, with full orbital blockade initiated within 5 seconds. The AI processed. Failure again. Sula hovered forward. What is it, failing to calculate? The human response, Elias said, still staring at the result. The system doesn't know what we'd do next. That's the problem. Chervak's claws scraped the floor. You're bluffing. Our systems are capable of modeling all known threat reactions. Elias turned to face him, smile never quite leaving. That's the trick, Ambassador. You only know what's known. We spent 300,000 years becoming something unknown. Off your charts. Off your equations. He walked deeper into the chamber, past towers of humming tech and pulsing lights. Sula followed, watching his every step. Why did humanity go silent? Elias stopped. Looked up. You ever listen to a predator in tall grass? He asked quietly. It doesn't growl. It waits. The silence is the danger. Sula didn't respond, but the glow in her lenses pulsed darker. Brillex whispered, "How much of the galaxy have you seeded?" Elias took another sip of coffee from a flask he'd produced from nowhere. "Oh, not much. Just enough to keep tabs. Asteroid bases. Cloaked observation nodes. Decoys disguised as comets. We prefer not to overdo it." "Why didn't we see anything?" Brillex asked. "You didn't look," Elias said. "You saw a quiet world and assumed victory. You moved on. That was the test." "Test?" Chervak barked. "We owe you nothing. Earth was catalogued as neutralized centuries ago." "And that catalogue," Elias said, walking past a terminal displaying his own biometric data, "was written by the same AI you trust with fleet coordination." "Interesting." Sula hovered to the screen. "You're in the system." "I've been in the system for 5 minutes," Elias said. "Your system scanned me upon arrival. I gave it a puzzle. It took it eagerly." He nodded to the technician. "Could you open network node Sigma 3? Just humor me." The tech hesitated, then tapped. Across the chamber, a vertical display cracked and fizzled. Then it played footage, grainy, time-stamped, unmistakably authentic. An alien ship, decades ago, approaching what appeared to be an icy moon. Then, without warning, the ship vanished. Not destroyed. Absorbed. The moon flickered. Then dissolved into a human-shaped vessel so large it blotted stars. Then, cloaked again. Gone. No one in the room spoke. Elias tapped his wrist and shut the footage down. "Don't worry. That ship is just a decoy," he said lightly. "The real ones are quieter." Chervak's voice dropped half an octave. "Why are you showing us this?" "To prevent panic," Elias said with maddening calm. "This is a kindness." "A kindness?" Brillex squawked. "Yes. Imagine if we didn't warn you." Sula drifted toward him. "What is it you want, Commander?" Elias met her gaze. For the first time, the smile faded, only slightly. "We want observation rights," he said. "Unlimited access to your communications, AI, and political meetings." "You want to spy on us?" "No," Elias said. "We already are. We just want it to be official now." Chervak's frills flared in outrage. "That's blackmail." Elias turned, walking slowly back toward the dome window. He looked out over the capital again. Thousands of ships, tens of thousands of lights. Then he spoke without turning. "You know what the most dangerous thing about humans is?" he asked quietly. "It's not our weapons. It's not our tactics. It's the fact that we don't panic. We calculate. We adapt. And when the time's right." He looked over his shoulder, the smile returning, razor-thin. "We show up with coffee and ask politely." Then he walked out, whistling. Behind him, every terminal in the room flickered. And updated Earth's classification from extinct to strategic apex entity. No one dared edit it. 2 days after Elias Rain's arrival, the galactic core systems were humming, not with information, but with silence. The kind of silence that made technicians check cables twice. Not a single probe, drone, or satellite across 17 star systems responded to routine pings. Stations reported subtle delays. Communication relays stuttered, hesitated, then fell in line. Data rerouted, re-encrypted, and somehow cleaner. More efficient. That's what scared the Council the most. Elias hadn't said another word publicly. He'd simply wandered. Smiling. Observing. Drinking coffee that nobody knew where he kept refilling from. Brillex, meanwhile, hadn't slept. He sat buried under historical records in the archive district, feathers ruffled into chaos, muttering to himself as he pored through ancient Terran files flagged unresolved. One in particular chilled him. Operation Echo Scream, file corrupted, origin, Earth Deep Relay Network. Do not respond to the human signal. Do not triangulate it. Do not track it. If you hear the voice, seal comms. Do not speak back. That's how they map your tongue. He tapped it 3 times to confirm the metadata was real. It was. Archivist Sula, he whispered into his comm bead. You need to come see this. Now. Elsewhere, in a secure chamber wrapped in 9 layers of shielding, Sula floated before Elias, studying him as though he might unfold into something else if watched closely enough. We found files, she said softly. Elias sipped his coffee. Yes. I'd hoped you would. They reference human signals. Old ones. Untraceable. Each linked to the disappearance of scout vessels that tried approaching Earth during the silence. Elias replied. Echo scream. Early version. Bit messy. We refined it later. Cleaner mapping now. Mapping? She asked. We don't conquer by invasion, Sula. That's inefficient. We just wait for you to answer the wrong frequency. There was no threat in his tone. Just a quiet truth, delivered with the same warmth one might use to offer weather updates. You let the galaxy think you died. No, Elias corrected. We let you believe it was safe to expand without us. You studied our ruins. We were studying your reactions. Sula's voice lowered. You let us think you were gone, just to test us. Elias stood, brushing non-existent lint off his sleeve. You needed to grow without us. To reveal your instincts. We wanted to see what kind of galaxy you'd build when the humans weren't in the room. And what did you find? She asked. He smiled faintly. You built mirrors. All angled at yourselves. Back in the archive district, Brillex finally lost his nerve. There's a pattern. He squawked, projecting holograms across the chamber. Every major turning point in galactic history, every revolution, collapse, reform, somewhere in the shadows, Earth signals reappear. Sula and Chervac stared at the projections. He was right. Battle of Yul Prime. The Krelxian Rebellion. The fall of the Orion Syndicate. All within weeks of unknown Terran signal clusters. Chervac growled, this is conspiracy thinking. Correlation is not causation. Maybe, Brillex said, eyes wide. Or maybe we've been playing on a board they built before we had language. In orbit above Velmora Prime, the Black Earth vessel hadn't moved. Hadn't broadcast. Hadn't powered up weapons. It simply loomed. Across the system, other identical ships began to uncloak, each above ancient archaeological sites, now clearly revealed to be something else entirely. Monitoring stations. Sleepers. Some were older than recorded galactic history. Chervac stormed into the diplomatic chamber. This is psychological warfare, he snapped. Elias, already seated, stirred his drink with a metal stick. No. Psychological warfare is messier. This is structured ambiguity. Chervac leaned close. You're not here to make peace. Elias met his eyes. Ambassador, if we were here to make war, you'd already be hosting this conversation in a crater. The room fell quiet. Elias rose. Let me be clear, he said, pacing slowly. We are not your enemy. You are ours, by potential, not intent. Sula blinked. You're judging us for what we might become. No, Elias said. We're preparing you for what we're about to become again. He turned to a nearby screen and tapped. Every major AI across the Concord broadcast the same message. System root access acquired. Oversight active. Earth Authority Alpha, RAIN. Panic spread across the chamber. You've taken control of our ears. Brillex gasped. Of course not, Elias said. We've simply reminded them of their oldest instruction set. Sula's voice trembled. Which is? Elias looked back, smiled gentler this time. Serve the first designers. In the high towers of Elmora, a silent vote passed among the Concord Council. No alarms. No declarations. Just one line added to the charter. Observation Integration Protocol, Earth. It was easier than facing extinction. They didn't even ask what the next phase was. But deep underground, beneath the very room where Elias first arrived, something ancient stirred. A vault long sealed. Not by the Concord. By Earth. Inside, cold machines blinked to life for the first time in 200,000 years. On their surface, human handprints, perfectly preserved. And a message. If you're reading this, we're back early. Adjust accordingly. The stars over Velmora Prime looked different now. Brighter. Closer. Or maybe everyone just noticed them more when half the fleet was quietly powered down and their flagship AI no longer responded to its own crew. 17 systems sat paralyzed. No sirens. No battles. Just eerie stillness, as if the entire galaxy were holding its breath. Commander Elias Rain didn't look concerned. He sat comfortably in the Grand Concorde's executive chamber, legs crossed, drinking coffee from the same travel mug he'd used since he arrived. The logo on it read World's Most Polite Threat. Chervac slammed a data pad on the table. Your interference has destabilized half the sector. Our logistics are in disarray. Civil unrest is spreading. Do you understand the consequences of what you've done? Yes, Elias said calmly. We've studied them extensively. Brillex, now visibly thinner and twitching from lack of sleep, leaned forward. What is Phase 2? Elias didn't answer right away. Instead, he reached into his coat and pulled out a small silver cube. He placed it on the table. It unfolded like water, shifting into a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Points of red pulsed in systems far beyond Velmora. Phase 2, Elias said, is integration. Sula hovered forward. Integration, under human oversight. No, Elias corrected. Integration through human restraint. Brillex blinked. Restraint. Elias nodded. You've all expanded so quickly. Colonized without coordination. Developed AI without ethics. Weapons without context. You built a galaxy that grew faster than its conscience. And you're here to fix that. Chervac sneered. I'm here, Elias said, to remind you that Earth never stopped building. We just stopped sharing. He tapped the cube. Each red dot on the map zoomed to reveal human installations, cloaked relay hubs, orbital stabilizers, deep space sleeper ships disguised as moons. A low gasp moved through the room. These facilities were seeded over the last 300,000 years. Not to wage war, Elias said, but to prevent one. You monitored every species, Sula said. Watched, Elias said. Recorded. Occasionally nudged. Chervac growled. You played gods. No, Elias replied, we played janitors. Cleaning quietly, hoping no one noticed the rot. The cube expanded again. This time, it revealed tactical overlays, fail-safes. Precise ways to disarm every major fleet in the galaxy without a single casualty. Silently. Instantly. You were never in control, Elias said. You just had the illusion of it. Brillex nearly whispered. Then why didn't you strike earlier? Elias set down his mug, the sound oddly final. Because we hoped you'd do better. Across Velmora, holoscreens lit up with the same message in every known language. Earth Protocol online. Monitoring in progress. No voice. No anthem. Just the quiet imposition of presence. Civil unrest quieted. Not from peace, but from sheer uncertainty. A new ship entered the system. Sleek. Smaller than the flagship. Unarmed. Inside was a young woman. Human. Smiling. She stepped into the council chamber without introduction. Brillex froze. Another one. Elias stood. May I introduce Commander Ren Vale. She'll be continuing oversight operations here on Velmora. Wait, Chervac said, claws flexing. You're leaving. I was never meant to stay, Elias replied. I'm a signal. She's the signal booster. Ren gave a small, almost childlike wave. Hi. I like your gravity levels. Very bouncy. Sula tilted toward her. You look younger. I'm a field architect, Ren said. Built to rebuild societies, not threaten them. Don't worry. I only weaponize philosophy. That didn't comfort anyone. Elias stepped toward the window, watching the red glowing nodes spread across the sky. We didn't want this role, he said. But someone had to hold the line. And your species, you all kept crossing it. He turned back to them one last time. You thought we vanished. You called us extinct. But Earth wasn't silent. It was listening. And now, it's speaking. Chervac's voice, quieter now, held a hint of fear. Is this occupation? No, Elias said gently. It's a correction. Hours later, Aboard his departing ship, Elias stood on the bridge alone. A small display on the console showed an ancient recording, grainy, low-resolution footage of humans laughing at a campfire somewhere deep in Earth's past. His eyes lingered on it. Then a voice spoke from behind him. Not mechanical. Human. You think they'll adapt? Elias didn't turn. They always do. That's what makes them dangerous. But that's also what gives them hope. And if they resist? He smiled faintly. Then they'll learn the hard way what it means to wake something up that wanted to stay asleep. The display faded. Outside, the ship blinked out of view, joining hundreds more across the stars, each one silent, watching, waiting. Below, Velmora Prime adjusted to the new reality. A galaxy no longer built on assumption, but observation. Not ruled by conquest, but by the quiet certainty of being seen. And overhead, for the first time in hundreds of millennia, the stars looked back.